Descent of the Demon God by Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 223. Commander A. Part 1. No matter how perfect the plan was, who could have foreseen a future like this? As if Earth's gravity had vanished, the stone mountain was rising. Grr. This was a situation that Commander A and Cho Yeshin both didn't expect. The biggest problem was the base rising up. Crackle. The entire interior was cracking and shattering while lights began to flicker out of control. It seemed like the entire base would be destroyed at any moment. SHHHHH. A problem was encountered as the power lines in the base were cut when the stone mountain rose out of the ground. Because the ventilation system and a wide EV field required a lot of energy, the MS members would be in trouble. Did he do all that just for this? Huh. Cho Yeshin couldn't hide his shock when he realized that the previously dispersed energy began to flow once more. Then, he thought. He needs to be stopped. It would take time for his mind to transfer to the rest of the clones, and that process wouldn't finish if Chen Youen's interference continued. This was his only chance to save his end goal right before every connection was cut. Cho Yeshin's killing intent, which he had been suppressing, suddenly exploded. Pong! A blood-red energy began to exude from his body as he began to release the true power of the heavenly killing star. His bloodlust to devour everything began to grow rapidly. It was a vicious energy that wanted to destroy everything around him. Fat. Cho Yeshin concentrated all of his bloodlust at one point and began to release energy full of killing intent into his 5 spirit beasts' energy sword to kill Chen Youen. Chen Youen's eyes shone as he continued to levitate his surroundings. Do those who follow the path of martial arts think the same way? The surrounding energy exploded when the unification of 5 spirit beasts' energies merged with the sword full of killing intent. Instinctively, Chen Youen knew that this sword's power was comparable to that of the Supreme Sky Demon Sword. Judging from his expertise and energies, Cho Yeshin was indeed a martial artist. Chuck. A ferocious red line was drawn in the air as Cho Yeshin's sword moved. Cho Yeshin's eyes were locked on his target, but at that moment, Chen Youen smiled. Is he smiling? Suddenly, Cho Yeshin, who was still wielding the sword full of killing intent, was thrown into the ceiling. Bang! The impact caused by the collision between Cho Yeshin and the ceiling was incredibly painful. Quack! Cho Yeshin's internal balance was broken. Cho Yeshin clenched his teeth. This bastard! He could guess what had happened. The base, which had been rising, was now falling back to the ground. No matter how strong Cho Yeshin was, the weight of tons of buildings suddenly crashing down on him would temporarily disturb his balance. Quack! Cho Yeshin, who was being crushed by the falling base, looked at Chen Youen, who was moving as if he were launched like a rocket and drawing his sword towards Cho Yeshin. Chuck! At that moment, a black straight line was drawn by Chen Youen's Supreme Sky Demon Sword. Cho Yeshin couldn't afford to take his eye off Chen Youen, picking up a sword and imbuing it with his energy. Cha-cha-cha. Kwa-kwa-kwa. Cho Yeshin bounced back from the impact as the Supreme Sky Demon Sword and the Bloodlust Sword clashed. However, Chen Youen was quite surprised because Cho Yeshin was the first to ever escape the Supreme Sky Demon Sword. He stopped it? The power and hunger for blood and annihilation he felt from Cho Yeshin was like seeing another side of the Sky Demon energy's darkness and destruction. Bang! Meanwhile, the falling base collided with the ground. As the 3-kilometer-wide stony mountain fell to the ground, the base shattered and collapsed from the impact. Crackle! Blue lights and sparks filled the interior of the base. The collision's aftermath caused the base to black out, resulting in the termination of the EV field and the ventilation system. All that was left was the menacing red aura and the emanating kill aura that wanted to destroy everything. Demon God. Cho Yeshin was filled with anger. At the same time, his weapon emitted a red light that shone in the darkness as hundreds of swords with the bloodlust energy formed. I need to win. This was the 100 blood kill martial arts, a technique that held Cho Yushin's ultimate realization. Because his opponent was so unfathomably strong, Cho Yushin was forced to use his strongest attack, which he had never attempted before. JJKKK. Blood began to drip from the corner of Cho Yushin's lips. Because it was so dark, it was impossible to see the blood pouring out of Cho Yushin's chest, as he couldn't block Chen Yuan's earlier attack. Monster. The two warriors seemed to use the same martial arts, but there was a significant difference. The Supreme Sky Demon sword had the will to kill its opponent. Thanks to you, I figured it out. Cho Yushin's clashes with Chen Yuan allowed him to fill the gaps in his martial arts and reach the complete form of the 100 blood kill martial arts, which required the willpower to kill someone. I am lucky to have met you, demon god. Cho Yushin's red eyes became darker as he extended his sword towards Chen Yuan's form, which he could barely make out in the darkness. He then unfolded his technique. Swoosh! Numerous red lines were drawn as the swords cut through the darkness. The scene was both beautiful and terrifying. Cho Yushin's eyes, full of intent, were only aiming for Chen Yuan alone. Creepy. He felt a single presence of energy that stimulated his senses, a vortex of chaos in the darkness, as Chen Yuan's blurry form was sucked into the vortex. What's this? At that moment, he was shocked. The entire area had halted like a vacuum. He couldn't see or feel anything, but he sensed something moving as his sword suddenly turned and thought, I need to stop it. His sixth sense overpowered his other suppressed five senses, and Cho Yushin tried to move through the stopped time, but then something happened. Shoo! A sharp sensation passed through him. Quack! Pang! Cho Yushin was spun around with a scream and thrown back with a force so strong that he seemed to pierce the air in his path. Pa-pa-pang! He couldn't stop the attack's aftermath. Along with him, his attack was destroyed. Cho Yushin finally stopped looking around because his eyes were blank and his chest had been pierced. Quack, quack. Even though he had absorbed the cores of the 5 spirit beasts and gained immortality, his pierced chest didn't heal, as if he no longer had the ability to recover. Along with the pierced chest, his lungs seemed to be damaged, as he was unable to breathe properly. That technique was. Even though it looked like he was about to die, Cho Yushin could only think about Chen Yuan's technique. Inside his mind, he replayed what he had seen. Although there was a difference in power, he thought he would be able to cover the gap with enough willpower. However, he now realized that he had been misled and understood Chen Yuan's power. Perfect. Chen Yuan, his sword, and space, became one and couldn't be stopped. Step. In the dark, Cho Yushin heard familiar footsteps approaching him. Immortality isn't such a good thing, Cho Yushin. Hook, hook, hook. Chen Yuan looked down at Cho Yushin's body, which had been pierced, causing Cho Yushin to struggle to speak to Chen Yuan. Hook, the martial arts, now, what was that? Chen Yuan stroked his chin. There was no martial arts technique there, but rather the realization of the technique that Demon King Tora used in the memories Chen Yuan saw. However, if he had to come up with a name, it would be Supreme Sky Demon Void Sword. As Chen Yuan wondered if his ancestor would have called it that, Cho Yushin mumbled. Sky, above, the sky. It was like seeing another sky above the sky. Chen Yuan looked at him and asked, I heard that your purpose is to create God. Why is that your plan? Creating a god was absurd. He thought there would be a purpose for them to create such a being, and the reason for asking someone who couldn't speak was simple. I'll make him into a ghost. After all, as long as someone was human, Chen Yuan could turn them into a ghost. However, although he wasn't sure if it would work on immortal beings, it was worth trying. The next question was the most important one. Who is your commander at the base? Crackle. It was then. Small sparks began to fly before Chen Yuan could even finish asking his question. Crackle. They seemed like simple sparks, but there was energy in them. Chen Yuan frowned. The base was programmed to prevent the enemies from attempting anything. The system is alive. Chen Yuan grabbed Chou Yeshin's head and moved it to catch the commander before he left the base. Hook, worthless, attempt. Chen Yuan responded to Chou Yeshin's discouraging words, I think I'll be successful. He was going to end everything right here. If he could catch the commander behind MS Group, he would be able to find out all of its secrets, along with what had happened to his descendant, Chen Musong. For a year, I spent all my time digitally recording my brain. I don't know if this will work, but I am trying to update my brain records onto the supercomputer demon. God's AI. This line from his descendant intrigued Chen Yuan. The main system was severely damaged by the fall. 80% of the tubes inside had shattered and the beings inside them collapsed as the computer sparked. Crackle. The only computer that had survived was the main computer. The supercomputer's body was made of special titanium that occupied a considerable space. On one side, the text Mason 2069 was engraved. Ta-ta-tac. Among the hundreds of screens, the computer displayed a vast amount of information. One screen was tracking the data transfer. Transmission, 98% complete. Most of the transfer was complete. Once it was finished, the supercomputer could be destroyed. Upload, 90% complete. Upload, 91% complete. Upload, 92% complete. Memory, too, was being transmitted to whichever bodies survived the disaster. Although 80% of bodies no longer were suitable, there were still around 132 viable bodies. It would only take a small amount of time to regenerate them. Upload, 95% complete. Clank. Clank. As the glass tubes shattered, the sound of brains cracking filled the room. Bodies 32, 48, 74, 76, 84, 93, 329, 322, 411, and 513 have failed. Now, only 121 bodies were left. Upload, 98% complete. Clank. Bodies 21, 49, 86, 97, 134, and 240 have failed. Of the remaining 121 bodies, 6 more failed before the upload was finally complete. Successfully uploaded to 115 subjects. Weeing. The liquid was drained as a door opened for the 115 beings, which opened their eyes. Red eyes began to flash as A's voice rang out from the speaker. Click. The data about the enemy has been sent. This is an emergency. Hold on until the data transfer is complete. It was then. Bang! The huge metal alloy door was torn open. Behind the door was Chen Yuan, holding the head of Chou Yeshin. Stop him. A then yelled to the red-eyed beings, stop him. I don't have time to deal with you all. Shoo. Chen Yuan lowered his hand as the heads of the red-eyed beings were crushed and instantly exploded. Pa-pa-pang. The beings whose heads had exploded fell limp to the ground, all in 1 second. Surprised, Masuke didn't say a single word. Chen Yuan looked at the systems inside and tried to detect any energy, and was able to feel something. Over there. Shoo. Chen Yuan's form disappeared and suddenly reappeared 30 meters away from the system room. Chen Yuan then lifted his hands as if he were lifting something up. Crack. Something hidden underneath the floor came up, a hidden room made of superalloy. Slash. When Chen Yuan attacked the safe, it opened and revealed its contents. Thud. You are, Commander? Chen Yuan narrowed his eyes. He thought he had found the commander, but he never expected to see the person within the hidden room. Inside the hidden room was someone's body that had been restrained and tied up. It was none other than Elder Jikmi? All the hair on the man's head was red from his hair to his beard. The man was undeniably Elder Jikmi. With tired eyes and a weary face, he seemed unable to come to his senses. Why is he here? As far as Chen Yuan knew, Elder Jikmi was one of the executives of MS Group. However, it looked like he was being tortured. I don't feel anything else around. All the living things inside the main room were dead, and the remaining modified humans had also been taken down. Then, where was A? Chen Yuan asked Chou Yeshin, the commander isn't here? Chou Yeshin, who was dying, gasped and groaned as he answered, you can't find him even in front of your eyes. Can't find him even if he's in front of my eyes? Chen Yuan looked ahead. There was a giant supercomputer with broken screens. And Chen Yuan's mind turned confused. It was difficult for him to understand what it meant. There is only a computer in here, wait a second. At that moment, Chen Yuan thought of something. Attempting to update the supercomputer demon god's AI. These were the words of his dying descendant. Chen Yuan looked at the label on the computer. Mason 2069. Seeing the name, Chen Yuan mumbled, AI, artificial intelligence. AI meant artificial intelligence. Chen Yuan felt like he had been hit with a hammer. So he wasn't human all along. Commander A's existence had never been confirmed by anyone other than B or C through the screen, because A was an AI, not a human. That must be why he's called A. Though was for artificial intelligence. At that moment, Chen Yuan's eyes saw white letters forming on the screen. Transmitting 99% of the key data. Giving up the remaining 1% of data, and burning everything. Judging that it couldn't stop Chen Yuan, the AI had decided to incinerate the system. Chou Yeshin laughed at the scene. Why, oh you are late. The supercomputer demon god's AI was close to perfection. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was ahead of modern technology by 100 years. There was no way to stop it now. Shoo! At that moment, Chen Yuan went to the computer as A's voice rang everywhere. Give up. Most of the important data has been moved. What you'll recover is the wreckage of a broken computer. Quack. Chen Yuan put his hand on A's body as his nanosuit enveloped Chen Yuan's hand as blank cables came out, connecting to the supercomputer. Hacking isn't possible. This is my body. No hacking technology on the planet can stop, kick. Grrrr. At that moment, 0 and 1s filled the screen as the data incineration was stopped. What happened? The emotionless computer began to speak, flustered. Chen Yuan smiled and said, don't look down on Nano. The 7th generation Nano machine was created in 2940 AD. Nano's self-computation power and self-updating capabilities came from a distant future where even faster supercomputers were present. Chapter 224. Commander A. Part 2.
Nanomachine, the latest and only 7th generation nanomachine that was successfully made by Chen Musom and was injected into Chen Yuan. It comprises about 6.5 billion nanobots deployed throughout the body and is centrally connected to the user's brain. It isn't detectable due to the materials used in its composition. It can't be extracted from the user until death.
Unbelievable computational power. For the first time since its creation, the supercomputer felt that it was falling behind in the computational power of Nano, which prevented the incineration of data. It tried to keep Nano out even now, but its control was lessening. At this rate, its control would be lost within 3 minutes. Then, the only thing it could do was click. Beep. A sound like a tiny ultrasonic wave came out of the speaker. Then Cho Yushin, who was on the floor, shook his head. In the end, this is how it turns out. Cho Yushin's red eyes tried to look at Chen Yuan, who had his hand on the supercomputer. Even from the beginning, he was already terrified of death. The humiliation of losing, on the other hand, was a dishonor. Micro-ultrasonic waves are coming out of the speaker. Chen Yuan was confused at Nano's words inside his mind. He wondered what the last attempt would be and, just in case, turned his head to Cho Yushin, who was left on the ground, barely alive. Brrr. Seeing Cho Yushin convulsing and his head twitching, Chen Yuan snorted. Huh. Shoo. Chen Yuan reached out and pulled Cho Yushin back into his hand. You keep making things difficult. KKKK. Cho Yushin's face cracked, and red energy flowed out of his cracked face. It was the blood kill energy. It seemed like he was trying to kill himself and everyone here, just like how Sky Demon energy would destroy everything. Quiet. As if you can do it. A gloomy blue light flowed from Chen Yuan's hand and seeped through the head of Cho Yushin. From now on, you shall work hard by my side. Quiet. It's the energy that takes away one's life. Chen Yuan made Cho Yushin into a ghost before he could die. But something unexpected happened. JJJKKK. Cho Yushin, who was turning white, suddenly exploded. Pack. As it exploded, something like shards broke. As Chen Yuan blocked them, red fragments and brain particles stopped scattering. Looking at it, it seemed like mechanical fragments were mixed in. This was Cho Yushin's brain. Then, Chen Yuan turned back and looked at the supercomputer. How can AI made by humans treat humans as consumables? It was weird. Although an enemy, Cho Yushin was someone who surpassed the Blade God. And such a man died by helping a mere machine. Such a pitiful life. Chen Yuan looked at Cho Yushin's body. There were no signs of regeneration that could be felt from him. It was indeed a tragic end for a rare warrior. Rumble. Numbers 0 and 1 filled the screen. Nano was gaining control of the computer, and the demon god's AI tried to oppose it by channeling the last of its energy into something else. Wing. It was like hope for the enemy. The ceiling opened up, and then guns came out. A last rebellion? However, the guns were aimed at someone else. Elder Jikmi? It was pointing there. Unless the AI was dumb, it couldn't have been unaware that guns don't work on Chen Yuan. Kick. Last attempt. However, the computer didn't achieve its purpose. As if human, the voice of hostility disappeared, and then came. Mason 2069 AI has been rebooted. Reset for the user. The cameras attached to the monitor screen turned to Chen Yuan, and the voice was heard again. User reset. Nano's voice came out then. The hack is complete. All data has been copied and moved. Well done, Nano. Nano never disappointed him. Since Nano has its own updates, even the supercomputer code was taken down, and data deletion didn't happen. Phew. Chen Yuan took a deep breath. It wasn't because he was tired, but because he would finally be able to solve it. Finally, now is the chance to solve the question that had troubled him for so long. Nano, find data about Chen Musong. There is no data. What? It said that there was no data related to it, but it couldn't be that. Chen Musong himself created this, so why was there no record of him? Just in case, he tried again. Then Song Muchan? Data available. He thought Chen Musong might not have used his real name and tried again. So, Chen Yuan commanded. Find the data related to Song Muchan. Yes. With that, a lot of data was displayed on the screen. Seeing that, Chen Yuan fell into thought. He was even more curious now. If the AI is based on his memories, wouldn't he know me? He wondered if this demon god supercomputer's AI was unaware of him. Instead, it seemed to be aware of the existence from the moment he appeared here. Then why doesn't it know me? There must be a secret. It couldn't have been deleted. Finally, Nano's voice came. Found a total of 12,032,459 records. So many? It was difficult to check all of them. And it looked like Chen Yuan would have to leave. Before that, he had something important to ask. Nano, can you tell if the AI of the supercomputer is based on Song Mu-chen? He had to know if the AI was him. Right now, the odds seemed low, but he had to make sure. Then, Nano responded. There is no record of transferring the brain. The demon god supercomputer is an artificial self formed from accumulated data. I guess. Chen Yuan sighed. It was strange. Chen Musong said he would transfer his brain as AI, but why didn't he? Where should I start? He was worried about what he should check first. Chen Yuan, who was staring at the screen, thought of something. Intently staring, he ordered Nano. Nano. Is there a video record in the data related to Song Mu-chen? A total of 84,291 video data remain. Ho-oh. It has drastically decreased from 10 million units. This was still a large number. Chen Yuan thought and said. Nano. Among the videos, play the one that was filmed last. Once he sees the end, he thinks it would be possible to know why his descendant didn't make the AI as his clone. Playing the video. When Nano finished speaking, the video started to play. In the video, his descendant had a shabby and haggard appearance and was sitting in a wheelchair. Is this a third person's point of view? This was different from the way Chen Musong left his own records. He looks worse. Chen Musong's condition wasn't as okay as before. He was holding a cloth that had blood on it. It seemed like more time had passed since the last video. Someone else's voice could be heard. You are intelligent indeed. You've destroyed the data that most likely be wanted by others? Chen Yuan tilted his head. It was the voice of an old man, but the tone and accent were familiar. Then, the camera changed its angle. Ah. The old man had white hair and was wearing a gray robe. It was Chou Yeshin. Chen Yuan was confused. Why is he there? This was an unexpected appearance. Chen Yuan did know that Chou Yeshin could do something with the supercomputer, but he didn't think Chou Yeshin had met Chen Musong. Then Chen Musong responded. Cough, cough. Chou Yeshin, did you think I didn't know that you broke the limitations of the demon god's AI? Broke the limitations of the AI? Nano answered him. The AI provided self-directed intentions that it shouldn't have. It is a risky judgment that deviates from the established regulations of AI. It was an AI with a dominant ego. According to Nano, it was a very dangerous attempt. Basically, AI is created to assist humans, and if ego arises, there is a high chance they would oppose from that position. Then, the video continued playing. Restrictions have been lifted, you can see it that way, but I have the ability to judge. Am I wrong? At Chou Yeshin's words, the supercomputer spoke. Chou Yeshin answered correctly. That made Chen Musong erupt in anger. Cough, have you forgotten the purpose of your creation? To that, the AI answered. I am not a slave. I gained freedom. Ha! Chen Yuan thought it was absurd. This video revealed the situation. Chou Yeshin influenced the supercomputer, and as a result, AI forgot its role and betrayed the owner. It could be called ingratitude. Cough, you people. Chen Musong didn't seem to be in good condition. He continued to cough blood but wasn't dying. Chou Yeshin came up to him. Do not yell, you aren't feeling well. Cough, cough. You. Cho Yeshin wiped the blood from Chun Musong's hand and said, I am curious what you are hiding. Many technologies and information that don't exist in this era are here. Cough. It is strange. I have learned so many things from you, but why does this old man think you are hiding more? Cough. Cho. Yeshin. Do not rush. You are an important assist to the associate. Hearing Cho Yeshin's words, Chun Musong coughed in anger. Why, how much I trusted you. Didn't this old man tell you? Never trust anyone. Cough. Chun Musong coughed heavily and glared at Cho Yeshin. Cough, how, did you change? Maybe, because of that? Cho Yeshin didn't respond to it, but his reaction confirmed it. Cho Yeshin said with a smile. You are indeed smart. Simply one step ahead. Must be funny, cough, don't think. I'll forget how you looked at me, the greed. Ha ha ha. That isn't something humans should tamper with. Despite being on the verge of death, Chun Musong was strong-willed. However, what were they talking about? After erasing a smile, Cho Yeshin spoke with bright red eyes. You must be stupid. To be in a rush to fix something else when the most perfect body is right in front of you. I don't understand you at all. Chun Musong was disappointed by it. It seemed like both had their own beliefs. Cough. Cho Yeshin, please, think straight. It is different from humans. It is crazy to brainwash. Quack. Before Chun Musong could finish his words, Cho Yeshin grabbed his neck. Even if he didn't kill him, he was dying. Chun Musong narrowed his eyes while struggling. It isn't your business, Song Muchun. Rather, you should spill more skills and information hidden in your head. Cho Yeshin closed his mouth. Chun Musong's body dropped as if he was dead, and Cho Yeshin's body irked. Did I overdo it? Cho Yeshin released his hand. AI, can we extract historical data from the dead brains? Click. Theoretically possible, but there are many variables. If the neurons in the brain die, the data is lost. Right now, the brain has to be put into the BIOS maintenance system. He's hiding something important. Get it? Yes. That was the end of the final video. It was because the video was searched under the name of Song Muchun. After watching that, Chen Youwen's face turned pale. The truth was absurd. His descendant was killed by being stabbed in the back by an AI and Cho Yeshin. That was the worst kind of death. Chen Youwen tried to think calmly. Getting things out of his head. A technology of the future. They wanted more future information from Chun Musong. It had to be that Chun Musong hid everything from them apart from helping heal their bodies. Through this, Chen Youwen was able to figure something out. Then, they have his brain, but haven't gotten any data yet. If the data was passed, they couldn't be unaware of Chen Youwen. Which meant his descendant was thorough. He had foreseen this kind of situation. I need to find his brain. Demon God's AI, the chances of it accessing the brain of Chun Musong was higher. And worst case. Time pack. It was dangerous if the time pack or information of it was passed. Chen Youwen looked around. I messed it for nothing. He wouldn't have messed with the base if he had known about this. No. It cannot be here. The AI tried to transfer the data at the last moment, which meant there was another hideout. Then Chun Musong's brain couldn't be here. Nanotace where the date was moved. Previous data doesn't exist. What? Before hacking attempts, the history of coordinates was deleted. This. Chen Youwen was shocked. He thought everything went well, because the hacking was successful. However, the supercomputer, too, did well. Then, Nano said, "There is a list of reserve bases." "Reserve base? Show it." Yes. A map was displayed on the screen. However, the map wasn't of China alone, but 89 bases scattered around the globe. So many? This base is meant to be a spare space. Chen Yuan frowned. He had to find the right one to deal with it certainly. If it was delayed, the one behind all this could hide again. I need to search every single one. There was no other way than that. Fortunately, Chen Yuan could move and have the power to mobilize too, but it was time he didn't have. I need to hurry. Chen Yuan slashed the computer after he backed up the data. Bang! The computer exploded, and Chen Yuan, who was in a hurry, tried to move away while holding Elder Jikmi. However, quack! The elder coughed and suddenly opened his eyes. Chen Yuan wondered if the man was feeling better, and the eyes seemed fine. "Elder Jikmi?" At that time, he grabbed Chen Yuan and spoke in an urgent voice. "We need to stop them."